This is Big Jim with Big Jim's Bow Company, and I'm here to talk about nock height or nock settings for your traditional bows. There's some common misconceptions about how a nock should be set up. It's not going to be the same for everybody, even if you have the same type of bow. You have two identically built bows, they may not be exactly the same as well. Now, I can give recommendations as far as where the nock should be set, but without you testing it, all it is a starting point. So you should tune for nock height, and when you get it into the right position, the bow will shoot the best for you, and it'll be the quietest. So my bow is set for 3 under. I'm a 3 under shooter. That means that the nock height should be a little bit, or is going to be, when I'm done tuning it, I'll find that my nock height is going to be a little bit higher than it would be for split finger. And what happens is, so if I'm a split finger shooter and I've got the nock sets tuned right, and I'm set up about right there, hypothetically, and it's tuned right, I've done all my testing. If I switch to 3 under, I'm putting more pressure below the arrow. The limbs are not going to come back at the same time. It's not going to be as quiet and shoot as smoothly. Get some arrow porpoising up and down as it flies. By tuning, it'll tell me that that the nock points have to go up. And then as I draw, the limb tips will come back and go forward at the same time again. So that's what you're doing by tuning the nocks, is tuning your limb tips, timing. You see that I've got 2 nock points on my string. What'll happen if your arrow fits properly on the string, which means it can slide up and down, snaps on just enough to hold into place safely, but can still slide up and down loosely. When you drop string as a 3 under shooter, the arrow is going to want to find center before it leaves out. Well, without that second nock point, it'll continue to fall because of momentum and hit, or quite likely, I mean it doesn't happen every time, but quite likely bounce off your bow and give you some really erratic flight. If you're unaware of the 2 nock points, it can be a brutal tuning experience. So having 2 nock points can only help you if you're a 3 under shooter, and certainly can't hurt you no matter what. If you're a split finger shooter, your nock set would be generally somewhere about a ½ of inch high off of square, plus or minus just a little bit. Some people find it to be differently for them. And if you're a 3 under shooter, typically somewhere above 5/8 to 3/4 to the top. And then the second nock point should have just a little bit of space so that it doesn't pinch the arrow. I would disregard my little rubber bumper here. I use that so that I can feel that with my tab when I'm shooting without having to look down at it. Little device I put on there helps me out, especially when I'm hunting pigs at night and I can't see the nock points. Okay, so what you're trying to get is the best arrow flight that you can, nice groupings and whatnot, and there are other tuning videos that can help you out with some of that tuning part. I don't want to get into specific tuning programs right now. But a couple of things that will tell you that something is not right. No matter how many arrows you shoot, you should never see the outside of your shelf wore out. I see it. It's very, very common. Typically, it's caused by not having a second nock point if you're a 3 under shooter, or having arrows that are too stiff, or both. It can also be caused by a nock set that's too low. So if you've got outside wear on your shelf, or shelf material, that's a dead giveaway that something's not right. Doesn't matter how well it bare shafts. I've seen perfect bare shaft tunes, yet having the arrow bounce off the bow before it went down range. Hard to explain exactly how that can happen, but it does. You'll get a little bit of noticeable wear from drawing the arrow back, especially if you're a split finger shooter. You tend to torque the arrow and pull it into the bow a little bit, so you'll make a little track in there. But generally, you shouldn't have any other wear on your shelf material or your side plate. You get a loud click, that's also a dead giveaway of a tuning issue. Usually it's the arrow hitting the bow. Another thing that's a giveaway is tattered feathers. Feathers work great because they'll collapse as they go by the bow, if for whatever reason they don't have complete clearance. But they are not designed or not supposed to touch the bow. If it's properly tuned, the arrow won't and the feathers won't touch the bow as it goes by. So if the edges of your feathers are tattered, they're making contact regularly, causing that to happen. A lot of guys should have arrows that they might shoot for years and never have to replace the feathers due to them being tattered. Goes to show you that they are clearing the bow properly as they should. So, just a couple things. Hope it helps you out in your tuning and your enjoyment of shooting a traditional bow. Check us out at all the typical social media platforms, and you can also find us at bigjimsbowcompany.com. Thank you very much.